History of Asia Part 06. When it became the 19th century, the king of Joseon was powerless. Because the noble family of the king's wife got the power and ruled the country by their way. The 26th king of Joseon dynasty, Gojong's father, Hyungseon Daewongun, wanted the king be powerful again. Even he wasn't the king. As the father of young king, he destroyed noble families and corrupt organizations. So the royal family got the power again. But he wanted to rebuild Gyeongbokgung Palace in order to show the royal power to people. So he was criticized by people because he spent enormous money and inflation occurred because of that. So his son, the real King Gojong, got power. By the Treaty of Shimonoseki Article 1 of the First Sino-Japanese War, Korea was independent from China. The 26th king of Joseon, Gojong, changed the nation's name to Daehanjegek, Korean Empire. And he also promoted himself as an emperor. The new empire accepted more Western technology and strengthened military power. And Korean Empire was going to become a neutral nation. Unfortunately, in the Russo-Japanese War, Japan ignored this, and eventually Japan won against Russian Empire, and started to invade Korea. Japan first stole the right of diplomacy from Korean Empire illegally. But every Western country ignored this invasion because they knew Japan became a strong country as they defeated Russian Empire. So Emperor Gojong sent diplomats to a Dutch city known as The Hague to let everyone know that Japan stole the empire's right illegally. But it was failed. Because the diplomats couldn't go into the conference room. Japan kicked Gojong off on the grounds that this reason. 3 years after, in 1910, Korean Empire became a part of Empire of Japan. It was the first time ever after invasion of Han Dynasty in 108 BC. The European powers had control of other parts of Asia by the early 20th century, such as British India, French Indochina, Spanish East Indies, and Portuguese Macau and Goa. The great game between Russia and Britain was the struggle for power in the Central Asian region in the 19th century. The Trans-Siberian Railway, crossing Asia by train, was complete by 1916. Parts of Asia remained free from European control, although not influence, such as Persia, Thailand, and most of China. In the 20th century, Imperial Japan expanded into China and Southeast Asia during the World War II. After the war, many Asian countries became independent from European powers. During the Cold War, the northern parts of Asia were communist-controlled with the Soviet Union and People's Republic of China, while Western allies formed pacts such as CENTO and SEATO. Conflicts such as the Korean War, Vietnam War, and Soviet invasion of Afghanistan were fought between communists and anti-communists. In the decades after the Second World War, a massive restructuring plan drove Japan to become the world's second-largest economy, a phenomenon known as the Japanese post-war economic miracle. The Arab-Israeli conflict has dominated much of the recent history of the Middle East. After the Soviet Union's collapse in 1991, there were many new independent nations in Central Asia. Prior to World War II, China faced a civil war between Mao Zedong's Communist Party and Chiang Kai-shek's Nationalist Party. The nationalists appeared to be in the lead. However, once the Japanese invaded in 1937, the two parties were forced to form a temporary ceasefire in order to defend China. The nationalists faced many military failures that caused them to lose territory and subsequently, respect from the Chinese masses. In contrast, the communists' use of guerrilla warfare, led by Lin Biao, proved effective against the Japanese's conventional methods and put the Communist Party on top by 1945. They also gained popularity for the reforms they were already applying in controlled areas, including land redistribution, education reforms, and widespread health care. For the next 4 years, the nationalists would be forced to retreat to the small island east of Fujian province, known as Taiwan, formerly known as Formosa, where they remain today. In mainland China, People's Republic of China was established by the Communist Party, with Mao Zedong as its state chairman. The communist government in China was defined by the party cadres. These hardline officers controlled the People's Liberation Army, which itself controlled large amounts of the bureaucracy. This system was further controlled by the Central Committee, which additionally supported the state chairman who was considered the head of the government. The People's Republic's foreign policies included the repressing of secession attempts in Mongolia and Tibet and supporting of North Korea and North Vietnam in the Korean War and Vietnam War, respectively. By 1960, China and the USSR became adversaries, battling worldwide for control of local communist movements. Today, China plays important roles in world economics and politics. China today is the world's second largest economy and the second fastest growing economy. From the mid-18th century to the mid-19th century, large regions of India were gradually annexed by the East India Company, a chartered company acting as a sovereign power on behalf of the British government. Dissatisfaction with company rule in India led to the Indian Rebellion of 1857, which rocked parts of North and Central India, and led to the dissolution of the company. India was afterwards ruled directly by the British Crown, in the British Raj. After World War I, a nationwide struggle for independence was launched by the Indian National Congress, led by Mahatma Gandhi, and noted for non-violence. Later, the All India Muslim League would advocate for a separate Muslim-majority nation-state. In August 1947, the British Indian Empire was partitioned into the Union of India and Dominion of Pakistan. In particular, the partition of Punjab and Bengal led to rioting between Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs in these provinces and spread to other nearby regions, leaving some 500,000 dead. The police and army units were largely ineffective. The British officers were gone, and the units were beginning to tolerate, if not actually indulge in violence against their religious enemies. Also, this period saw one of the largest mass migrations anywhere in modern history, with a total of 12 million Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims moving between the newly created nations of India and Pakistan, which gained independence on the 15th and the 14th of August 1947 respectively. In 1971, Bangladesh, formerly East Pakistan and East Bengal, seceded from Pakistan through an armed conflict sparked by the rise of the Bengali nationalist and self-determination movement. During the period when the Korean War occurred, Korea divided into North and South. Syngman Rhee became the first president of South Korea, and Kim Il-sung became the supreme leader of North Korea. After the war, the president of South Korea, Syngman Rhee, tries to become a dictator. So the April Revolution occurred. Eventually Syngman Rhee was exiled from his country. In 1963, Park Chung-hee was empowered with a military coup d'etat. He dispatched Republic of Korea Army to Vietnam War. And during this age, the economy of South Korea outran that of North Korea. Although Park Chung-hee improved the nation's economy, he was a dictator, so people didn't like him. Eventually, he is murdered by Kim Jae-gyu. In 1979, Chun Doo-hwan was empowered by another coup d'etat by military. He oppressed the resistances in the city of Gwangju. That event is called Gwangju Uprising. Despite the Gwangju Uprising, Chun Doo-hwan became the president. But the people resisted again in 1987. This movement is called June Struggle. As a result of Gwangju Uprising and June Struggle, South Korea finally became a democratic republic in 1987. Roh Tae-woo, 1988–93, Kim Young-sam, 1993–98, Kim Dae-jung, 1998–2003, Roh Moo-hyun, 2003–2008, Lee Myung-bak, 2008–2013, Park Geun-hye, 2013–2017, Moon Jae-in, 2017, were elected as a president in order after 1987. In 1960, North Korea was far wealthier than South Korea. But in 1970, South Korea begins to outrun the North Korean economy. In 2018, South Korea is ranked number 10 in world GDP ranking. The end.